tech advisor, Matt, helped me with that.
He's
but
not
right,
here today.
he's not here. He's not here today. I know. He went to New York City. Like,
I know.
and I was making his favorite, a vegetarian dish, because we know how much he loves vegetables.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shocker.
He did not seem to be too upset about not being here.
And it's a shame because it has everything else he loves: rice, cheese, butter. But the vegetables were the no. Not actually the vegetables. He likes a few, but he does not care for asparagus yet.
Right.
I keep telling him the power of yet.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm wearing, for the first time, a lovely gift I received from my niece, Bethany, with the who just graduated from my master's program yesterday. So Congratulations, Bethany. And she found this wonderful apron for me. I've got ruffles and fluff, and so I decided to keep it simple because I thought, gotta cut it down. Yeah. So it's funny. I've actually never been an apron person. So the only time I would wear aprons were sometimes around the holidays, because you're doing all the cookies, baking for Christmas, and you get flour on you and that. So I had this Christmas one I would wear, and then if we would have company and I was doing a dinner, I would throw it on just to make sure that whatever I'd put on for the company didn't get to be a mess. But so this is a new thing, so I'm excited.
Did you miss not doing a stream over the last couple weeks?
I did. I mean, I there's no woe is me, because I was in Florida both weekends with different people.
More like woe is me.
Yeah, I know, it was woe is you. I felt bad. Left you and Maddie and you're lonesome. But yes, but I did miss it because it has become a routine, even though it's just been since March. It has become quite the routine. So I hope you are all well. Please say hello if you're joining us today. And if you've never joined us, I'm Philly, and this is my husband, and we live in the city, and I enjoy cooking. He enjoys eating and helping, and he's a great cleaner-upper, which I totally appreciate.
But I don't enjoy it.
Sometimes, well, you enjoy the cooking though, so like that's what perpetuates the cleaning up. Right, my cooking, correct? Yes, and so sometimes our son Matt is here, helping and being your partner in crime
until he moves out.
Which
is coming quickly.
Yes. So in any event, today we are cooking spring asparagus risotto. And it actually doesn't have to be called spring asparagus risotto, but I love cooking it in the springtime because that's when asparagus is seasonal, and it's super sweet. And in fact, the asparagus I got for risotto today is, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. It is actually, it is quite, some of it's quite large. And I will say, oftentimes, you'll learn to really purchase the thin stalks. Thinner is better. But I will say, we've been eating asparagus a long time, and that is not always the case. For me, the best is the seasonal asparagus. And they do have woody ends, but you just have to make sure and cut those off. I've had some really thin asparagus that was super woody, way too far up. So this looks delightful. It's from our local market here in the city. And I actually had some last week during some of my fast meals, and it's really sweet and delicious. So I'm super excited. So the first thing I did was I cut up, and here I'll give you a little peek. I cut up the asparagus, and I wouldn't say they're bite-sized. They're a little larger than bite-sized. But, just so that they're easier to toss into the risotto. You could keep them whole. Obviously, any of this kind of stuff, you can always do what you prefer. And I lost my mouse, so just looking for my mouse. 1 second here, friends. There we go. So it really depends upon how you like it. And for presentation, maybe you want to keep a couple stalks, full. What I like to do is, if it's just Andy and I'm probably not going to go fancy, but if I was serving it for company, what I would do is after we blanch it, which we'll talk about what that means, and we shock it, I will set aside a couple pretty ones to just kind of put at the top just to make it look pretty, because eventually we'll toss these with it. And I will say, we love vegetables. Like we are definitely not vegetarians, which is nothing wrong with that. We have nieces that are vegetarians and vegan, but we love vegetables. And so to have a meatless Monday or whatever day of the week it is definitely, it is not any skin off our back. It's delicious. So this is a great way to get some more vegetables in. And it's funny, like when you go to restaurants or even if you're buying those frozen dinners, I find that they have such a few vegetables in it. You know, I mean, they might even be a vegetarian dish, but they really skimp on the vegetables. So I like to bulk up the vegetables because they help fill you up. So you're being healthy, and vegetables have so few calories. So as long as you're not frying them, it's a good way to bulk up and help you feel fuller, and with little calories. So these are going to go in. What I'm going to do first, and my chicken broth kept boiling over. I'm going to go over the ingredients actually first. So, and I will be putting them on the description below. When I was getting ready for the stream, I saw that I had not gotten that ready yet. So I apologize, but I will have it there later today. But what you need is, of course, you need asparagus. You also need Arborio rice, which is a special rice designed that works well for risottos. And I'm trying to remember all the specifics about it. Something about that it's shorter, fatter, and I think it loses its, or it gets starchiness, like a slower, something to that effect. You all
What's it called?
Arborio rice. It's a specific rice. So,
there it is.
Yeah. So if you see it, it's actually, it's just a shorter grain. But because of when you add liquids, it really releases its starch slower, and it creates that creaminess that we desire in our risotto. You need butter, because everything's better with butter. You need a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. You need Parmesan cheese, and you need the good stuff because you have that flavor.
There or no?
What's that?
Do you need that tequila over
Oh,
there?
the tequila is for tequila is a teaser for Tuesday. We'll talk about that later. And you need a shallot, or you could just use a regular onion. I like the shallots, especially for this. And then I like to put a little lemon zest. And then if I feel like it needs it, I might squirt a little lemon in it. I find that, and I didn't find this when I first started cooking, but as I've been cooking longer, I find that sometimes a little acid, whether it's vinegar, lime, lemon, just something that gives it a little zing, it helps brighten and really give you that something at the end of the dish. So, so I'll probably add a little bit of lemon juice. This is something I don't really have measurements for, so I apologize, because I usually, will be giving you all these measurements, but I can give you approximates, and I'll mention it as I'm actually, cooking. So, and then chicken broth. And so chicken broth has been the bane of my existence today, because one of the things you want to do is you want to have it simmering, and I'm actually going to have it beyond simmering, because I'm going to blanch my asparagus in it, because then that lends extra asparagus flavor to the chicken broth, which happens to then impact your risotto. So in an effort to get it ready, well, it kept boiling over, so that was a problem. I do, as I've mentioned before in these streams, I do not have a good low, which is really sucky, because it just, things cook too fast. So those are the ingredients. So I'm gonna go back and try to get my my chicken broth to come to a bit of a boil. I'm gonna take the lid off so it doesn't boil over for like the third time.
Isn't it hot?
Oh, I have asbestos hands, it's fine. I know, if he was gonna pick that off, it'd be like, ouch, but I don't know about any of you, but my hands, they just start losing feeling after a while. They've been burned so many times. So if you are a home cook and you kind of feel like you have asbestos hands, please let us know in the chat. And also, like I said, if you're visiting with us today, popping in, please say hello. We'd love to say hi to those who are joining in. So we're waiting for the chicken broth to begin boiling. It's already very warm, so it'll just take a second. And then we are going to blanch, and blanch means to just cook really quickly. And part of the reason for blanching is to preserve the green color. And so after you blanch anything, you want to make sure that you shock it in ice water, because then that stops the cooking. So that's what we're going to do, and it will just take a few minutes because this asparagus is really fresh, and even though some pieces are thick, I might keep it in for just a tad longer, but this will go really quickly. Now, I will tell you, with risotto, it's better to have too much, in my opinion, too much low sodium chicken broth or whatever broth you're using. This could be totally vegetarian. Yeah, because I actually think I said it was vegetarian. It's not vegetarian how we're making it because we are using chicken broth, but you could use vegetable broth, easy. But I like to have extra because I feel like you never really know when you're going to get to that sweet spot in the risotto, and you just want to make sure you have plenty of broth to help get you to that sweet spot.
So how much did you use?
So what I did was I took a quart of chicken broth and I added an extra cup of water just to make sure. And part of the reason with that is I also knew we wouldn't have a problem because we were putting in asparagus, which was going to give it even more flavor. But I'm someone that watches my salt, and so I kind of have to be careful. And as Andy knows, you know, I can always check for salt at the end. And because I watch my salt, sometimes he will add even a little extra salt. And of course, if I'm cooking for company, I do try to remember and even have you taste things just to make sure it's salted okay. Yep. But we are also adding, Parmesan cheese, which has salt. So that's the other thing to remember, is that will add some saltiness as well. So you really want to wait to the end to give your final salting to make sure. So we are this won't take long. I just want to peek because these are a little thicker, so I just don't want to take them out too soon. So I'll probably give them one more minute.
So is this a recipe or is this just one that you did?
So I think I started with a recipe, but I have no idea what recipe that was. Like that would have been a long time ago. So
do they blanch it and shock it?
That I learned from cooking shows. Okay. I don't really. So some risotto recipes, that's a really good question, will have you cook the asparagus in the risotto. I think Skinny Taste, I love Skinny Taste. If anyone else loves the Skinny Taste recipes, they're great, they're healthy, delicious. And I think with hers, she cooks it within the risotto. So what I like about, here, I think they're ready. What I like about the blanching is, I'm gonna need my thing for this. What I like about the blanching, watch out, sweetie, is that it really helps them stay really green, because as anyone that cooks a lot knows, with green vegetables, when you try, and sometimes when you cook them, they just get like that weird olive green. And not that there's anything wrong with that color, like that might be great for an outfit, and it might be great as a paint color if that's your vibe. But if it's your vegetable, it just looks like it's seen better days. So I'm getting every last one of these.
So you're just putting it in the ice water, right?
Yeah, just putting it in there so it stops the cooking, and then I'll be taking it out and putting it on a paper towel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm returning the broth, which now has yumminess of asparagus in there. I'm returning the broth to the heat because I want it to stay simmering, which will be quite fun because with our stove that does not have a good low, you know, well, and this is the good news. So like my main concern with that is the fact that it might evaporate some of the broth more than I want to use. But at the end of the day, because so much flavor we're putting in here, if we had to add some water, it's fine because there's already so much flavor, like meaning to finish it off. So I'm letting these get nice and cold. Not long. It should be good. Yeah, that's it. And then I'm going to give you a job actually. After I put these on paper towels, will you pick out the ice cubes?
Sure.
Thank you, because that's just going to make them wet. So this way, they will be nice bright green. There we go. They're good. Give you a nice little job there. Yeah, I can just go over to the side. There you go. Do you want to put it here?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we are going to get
picking out ice cubes.
Picking out ice cubes. Just toss them in the sink. So I'm going to get my pan ready. Just going to have it be at like a medium to medium high heat. Of course, know your stove. Our stove, as we said, runs warm, so it's really hard to know, you know, what heat it is.
Temperature it is.
And it's funny because we've lived a couple places and every stove is different, which is maddening. So you could, if you really like shallots, you could actually decide to use 2 if you wanted. This just seems nice because I really want this to be about the asparagus, and the shallots are just lending flavor. So I'm going to give this a cut. Take off the skin.
Ice cubes are done.
I love shallots.
Just going to put this back here.
Thank you. Okay? Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you for doing that. Now, when I saute the shallots, I'm going to be using olive oil, and then I'll add butter at the end for some yumminess. But you could decide to do butter. I mean, this is what I love about risotto. Risotto to me is really about a technique, and then you can put what you want in it. It can be adjusted with what cheese you use. It could be adjusted with veggies, with meats. Oh my gosh, a great risotto is with mushrooms. Oh, in fact, that's one of our favorites that we've had. Remember that one place in Jersey that we went that had that really great mushroom risotto?
What was that?
It was the place off of 70. that then closed, which was a bummer. This is before the pandemic. This isn't of recent. But literally, I would go there, and it's very rare that I go to a place that I just order one thing. Like, I just could not resist ordering their wild mushroom risotto. It was phenomenal.
Their place was awesome.
And it would be this huge portion, and I would eat.
Do you remember the first time you had risotto?
I don't.
Did you eat it as a kid? Did you want
No,
it?
no, Mom didn't make it.
No, my mom didn't.
It had to have been in a restaurant. You know, I'm actually wondering if it's when we lived in, this got a little hot, so and anyone that's watched my streams, this is how we cool off a pan. So, because it was taking a little longer to do the shallot than
I think I know the first time I had it.
Where do you think you were?
So, there's a restaurant actually in...
just putting some olive oil.
In Philadelphia. This is when we were living in New Jersey, and I was at a business lunch.
Yeah.
The restaurant's, and it's ironic because it's not that far away from us, but it's called Panorama.
Oh, that's a great restaurant.
And I had a seafood risotto. I really think it was the first time I had it. And
was it all kinds of
phenomenal. Seafood? Yeah.
Just adding a little bit of salt to the shallots and a little bit of pepper. By the way, I'm just going to saute these a little bit, and then I'm going to add the rice. Our objective is to get some flavor into the pan and into the rice before we start adding the liquid. So I do not want these I just turn down the heat because my low is so high that I actually turned it to low because I don't want to brown these. I just want to sweat them. And then I'll add the rice, and we'll get the rice all coated in that yummy fat. And I might add a little bit more olive oil. This is, I will say Skinny Taste does have a risotto recipe on there, and I'm sure it's delicious because all her recipes are delicious. But I do not make risotto much, and if I make it regular because, you know, it's a splurge. So it had all different kinds of secret you're saying?
So it was like, it was, if I remember correctly, like scallops and shrimp and mussels. I mean, it was all kinds of different, and it was phenomenal. It was
Sounds delicious. Now I'm going to be adding 1 cup of the Arborio rice to the pan. And I'm just going to show you what these look like before I do. Let me just...
Let's sweat.
It's sweating. Sweating means you want to cook without browning. You just want them to get the rawness off. So let me just switch to my webcam. 1 second. There you go. And that's, I know you don't get the real color. So you can see though, none of are really getting brown, which is what we want. We just want them to start cooking gently, more gently, I would say. Now I'm going to put the rice in. And I'm just going to kind of move it around because I really want to get every single piece of that rice coated so that it has that delicious olive oil and shallot. I'm going to add probably a little more salt and pepper. I just want it to have all that goodness.
I couldn't say that.
That's okay. And I can hear, so, you know, cooking's all about your senses. I can hear that after adding that, it cooled the pan. As people that cook, you get used to all the sounds and smells and everything. So I actually just turned up the heat because I want to, what you want to do is you want to kind of keep everything at a constant. So when you're adding the broth later, you kind of want to keep that simmer, keep that temperature constant, which is why you heat up your broth, because that way you can gently then have this rice release its starch, and that's what makes the creaminess of the risotto.
So does the risotto stay, I mean, that's pretty like hard right now, right? It stays like that until you have a liquid.
Yes, and then what you're trying to find out at the end is you want to have the perfect bite. So you often, I'll take it off the heat when it's just about done. So we'll be tasting a lot. In fact, would you get out just a little spoon there, because I'm going to need to taste it throughout. Because you just want, it's like, that's what's hard. Because I think in general, cooking risotto should take about 25 to 30 minutes. But really it's done when it's done. You know, it's like when it has the right bite. So this is almost, you're just kind of toasting the rice a little bit, like not saying we're going to give it color, but we're just toasting it a little bit.
Is this good?
Yeah, that's perfect. The broth is nice and hot. All right, so I'll show you what this looks like. Again, it's not brown, but it's the oil has coated all of the different rice in there, and it's mixed up. And this is the fun part. So the next thing is now, if you don't like wine, you don't have to do this, but I love wine and he loves wine. And oh, you want to go grab that? So you add a little wine. So if you don't want to add wine, you could always just add chicken broth there. You can skip the wine step. So, and you should always...
We cracked this open yesterday before we had dinner.
So you can always, or the rule is always pick a wine you would drink. So we actually had a glass of this yesterday before we went out to dinner in the city, and we are going to have some of this with a risotto. So now, I'm not really sure. I'm going to pour it in. My guess would be probably about a half cup that I added. And I'll help you put this back. Probably about a half cup. And that's the first thing you're going to do is add that. And you want, and see, I'm already noticing that my heat, I need to turn it up a little bit because I really want this bubbling away a little more. So I'm putting it back to medium, which I think is actually more like a little bit over medium into medium high territory, because I really want this to bubble. And so one of the bad raps, yeah, this is good now, that risotto gets is that they're like, oh, you got to babysit it, it's a pain and all that. And I've watched so many chefs talk about that. It really isn't. So this is all we're doing right now in the stream, so it's going to seem like I'm babysitting it, but I have made this and I've done other things. I set the table. You literally don't have to watch it all the time, but what you do need, you can't forget about it. I guess that's the main thing. You can't forget about it. So this is I'm going to show you what is important. So whenever it's time for liquid to be added, this is what you're going to notice. So let me show you. So if you see right here, if I take my spoon, do you see how there's a lane? There's a lane. That means we need more liquid. So when I moved my spoon, if the lane didn't form, no, they would need to cook more. So then what I do is I'm just taking ladles, and I'm going to start with, I'm going to do like 1.5. It could be anywhere from 1 to 2 ladles. And I'm just going to get this stuff bubbling again, and then that's all there is to it for the longest time. Actually, when you're making it, the rice is bubbling, you can go set the table, you can pour yourself a glass of wine, you can wash the prep dishes that you were doing. You don't have to be constantly stirring it like I am, so I'm gonna actually stop so that I'm not, and now see this right now, it's hard for you all to see, it's a bit of a quick bubble. I don't want a super quick bubble, I just want a regular quick bubble, so I'm just gonna turn that down a tad.
So what's the definition of a regular quick bubble and a super
I don't know.
quick?
I don't know. It's just like, but it's good. I want it to be simmering like that. Like I want the bubbling. If it was, so what we're noticing is there's a bunch of little bubbles coming up. If that was dead, that would not be a hot enough temperature. You need the bubbles because the bubbles are helping with the evaporation. They're helping release the starch in the rice. They're doing all that good stuff. And then what you want to do every once in a while is stir it to see, are you making lanes? And I stirred it, there were no lanes. I mean, it was like a second of a lane. That's not a lane. You want to be able to bring it through and see that.
And so that's gonna happen a couple more times.
Oh yeah, we're going to be adding liquid a couple more times. So.
You want to pour your glass of wine?
No, I'm going to wait till we have our risotto because there isn't much of it left. You can have a glass of wine.
No.
So after I do the next bit of liquid, I'm going to actually zest our lemon because now I will tell you what I've already done is I've already grated the cheese. We use a microplane a lot in our household. They're great. If you've never had one, they are so good at multitasking. But that's what I use to, oh, now look, let me show you. So look at this. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but look,
yep,
there was a lane. It's a lane, so it's time to add a little more liquid.
The only problem with the microplanes, is I have just sliced my finger many, many times.
Yeah, you gotta be careful if you're, drying it or washing it. Oh, you mean when you're actually using it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I put a pretty good amount of cheese on there, and I will say the microplane, it really makes the cheese fluffy, which is great because it also melts right away. But one thing I know that this is how Andy likes to use microplane. Can I show them, Andy, how you like to use microplane? So he likes to, this one end is sharp, and then
I do like
you get goodness. And Matt likes that too. As soon as he sees fresh parm out,
Oh, it's so good.
he gotta watch that. Oh, that's so good. Real Parmigiana Reggiano. You cannot beat that. So you can see, I'm just gonna go give it another little twirl, and there's no lane, so it needs to sit a little longer. That's okay. I'm gonna come here in my zest.
You're right. This really is nice color.
Isn't that a nice color? Here, I'll show you. So this is our asparagus that's waiting. Look how beautiful that is. You can actually see that right there in the camera.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
That's a better camera, so that shows.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's almost a lane, but not quite. So I'm going to zest the lemon, and with zesting, it's funny. You can do it a couple different ways. You can either bring a plate, and you can just run it around your citrus fruit. Could be lemon, could be orange, and it takes off just the top yellow that has all the oils. Or I've also seen people where they do it like this, and then it all fills up, all the zest, and then they just dump it that way. So there's a couple ways you can do it. So let me, oh, we got a lane. I don't know if the camera can even see that, but got a lane. So time for more liquid.
So how do you know when it's done? It's just the taste, the look?
Yes, and look and the taste. Like you can just tell, like.
Because you want that bite, right?
Yes, you want a little bit of a bite, but you don't want it to be crunchy. All right, so I'm gonna get the lemon zested.
And each time you're putting in a ladle and a half?
I'm actually putting just a ladle in. The first time I did a ladle and a half because it was a little dry with the wine. Okay. So you kind of want it to be, this is what people get frustrated about with cooks, I think, because you kind of want it to be this certain consistency, and that's the thing through experience. But what I will tell you is do not make risotto because you're worried about the gray areas. Just try it. What's that?
That's going to be really loud.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I had a problem with
the
this loud
volume
stuff.
is on, right?
Okay, I'm going to do it like that. Yeah, it is on. Oh, sorry about that. You're right.
That would be ironic if the volume wasn't on.
I know. I keep worrying I'm going to do that sometime. I'm going to cut the lemon also because I do think I'm probably going to want to squeeze a little bit in. So, and I'll check my risotto, see how it's doing. See, but you see how it wasn't quite?
Yep.
And that, look at you. And I'm actually going to stir it a little bit just to get it all like yummed. There we go. So it's really, all things being equal, it's not, I mean, it's not fussy in that it's just, it just takes a little bit of noticing.
You just have to pay somewhat attention to it.
Yeah, you have to pay some attention to it. In fact, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Like it's not in the middle. Yeah. But the result is so good.
So what's your favorite risotto? And where was your favorite risotto?
I honestly think my favorite was, and it's this little unassuming Italian restaurant. It wasn't one that was, you know,
it closed down.
I think, yeah, and I think it actually got a local review. But like it to me it had just a phenomenal. And you know what's funny is a lot of times I won't get risotto at places unless I know, because I've been disappointed. I've gotten risotto a couple times at restaurants that it's been not good at all. And I love rice, so for me to say it's not good, I feel like it's saying a lot. So
that was your favorite, you think?
I think that's my favorite. And plus, and you know how much I love mushrooms. I mean, the idea that it was done so well and it had mushrooms in it just kind of hit all the notes for me.
Yep.
Have you had it since the place Panorama?
Oh God, yeah. Oh, you mean at Panorama?
No, I meant like, have you had it other?
Oh, sure.
You have?
Yeah, I've had it.
Do you remember any that were really good?
The one with that Italian restaurant that you were talking
about.
Oh, right. Didn't we have it at, placed on in Society Hill?
Oh, Bistro Romano?
Yeah, Bistro
You might
Romano.
have had that.
We had it there. That was good.
They do things really well.
Yeah, they pretty much everything's good there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've had it there. I've had it a bunch of times.
And it's funny.
I had it at the place. I can't remember any names today.
That's okay. That is welcome to our decade of life. But I will say, so, and I'm thinking now, like, I definitely had it where it was bad, but I've also had it where it's mediocre, and I think that's why I don't get it a lot. Because, you know, when you go out, I don't know, like, if I'm going to, so when we used to live in South Jersey, there's a chain restaurant called PJ's, which has great food, but it's not like fancy food. It's just like bar food, right? And so I'm not expecting, you know, 4-star, 5-star dining at PJ's. So, like, you're saying your standards low. And nothing against PJ's, it's yummy. Like, their stuff is really good. So I feel like when someone's going to serve risotto, I don't know, I immediately get a little suspect. I'm like, do they know how to make risotto? Do they know how to make it well? And we all know that, I mean, I think kitchen restaurants are, like, there's a lot going on. So I don't know. I think that's why I worry. So I'd almost rather hear that a risotto was really good. I was wondering how long it would take.
I'm just going in.
It's so good. Remember that one restaurant?
That one?
Yes, please. That one restaurant in Morristown that would just put, I don't know if they're still there, that would just put that cheese and pesto chunks of this cheese. It reminded me of Parmigiana Reggiano, but I actually think we asked and it wasn't. It was like I don't remember what it was.
Oh, no.
Asparagus.
Yeah.
It was so good. Oh, we got our lane. Time for more.
So when do you put the asparagus in?
Near the end. Just so it can warm up. Because the asparagus are already cooked.
What's the name of the place by Magoo? Whatever, you know.
Oh, Burns.
Burns. That's where I've had it somewhat recently. That was good.
Was it good there? They do good stuff.
Yep.
So after this next one, and I don't know why, but by looking at, so let's see, I'm trying to think when we started the actual liquid. It's 2:08 now. I know our stream started at 1:30, but
It was a little late.
I feel like maybe it's been 20 minutes, but I'm gonna taste it because of the looks of it. It looks kind of creamy. That they have probably almost doubled in size, and I feel like I need to taste this and see how it is. Nope, they're crunchy. Definitely not right. Okay.
What about salt? You don't put salt on it. Or you
I
don't
will
put
at the
salt
end because I want to add the cheese first.
Because that's salty.
And that's salty. But yeah, this is still not quite. So, anyway.
So what's
And
next?
so I will say, because of the nature risotto, I do think risotto is hard to make for company. Now, I've heard from some cooking shows I've watched that I think you can cook it to a certain point and then you almost like get it heated back up and kind of start adding those last spoonfuls, but that would stress me out. To me, that like this is a great meal for two. You could make it for more as a side dish, but I feel like for a main dish for you and I, because you know you don't have to. I mean, you could make it in a bigger pan if you're making for a bigger family for a main dish, but I just think it's great to make for two or for yourself. You know, and I would have the recipe if you're making it for yourself. So, but really good. So this week,
Yeah, what are you doing
I'm
this week?
so excited about this week. Are you excited about this week? About our Tuesday stream?
Oh, yeah.
The pack is there, so I gotta add more. So this week, well, as we all know, on Thursday, it is Cinco de Mayo.
Right.
And so felt like on Tuesday, it would be good to have our stream kind of paying homage to a certain beverage that many will be having on Cinco de Mayo, and that is the margarita. And I know in our cocktail streams we've already done orange margaritas, Italian margaritas.
That's it?
Is that it? Okay.
From a margarita.
From a margarita standpoint. But there was a margarita that I'd had on a girlfriend trip that my friend Sandra made, and she introduced me to Patron, which I never had. And I won't go into the whole story because we'll talk about Tuesday, but oh my gosh, the margaritas were phenomenal. And then one year we made them with, we added jalapenos, so made some spicy ones. Now spicy's not everyone's cup of tea, it is mine. So that's good too. So on Tuesday, we're gonna be doing like a whole lot of things. We are not only gonna be making a phenomenal margarita with Patron, but you could always use your favorite tequila, and we're going to show one way of making it. And what's nice about this is that you can kind of make it to taste. So, you know, and we're going to make a batch of them because that way we'll have them for Thursday then too. And that's also nice when you can make a batch. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with making one drink at a time, but if you're having friends party or, you know, something like that, it's nice to just be able to have a batch that you can pour in the shaker and get ready. So, so in any event, we're making those. We're also going to do, with Matt's help, the three of us, Matt, Andy, and I, are going to do a blind taste testing of 3 tequilas. Patron, All Toast, which is our, as you might have from, if you've heard from other streams, is one of our personal favorites when you don't want to spend what you would spend on Patron. And then we had to bring one that we used to use and see how it stacks up in a blind taste test, and that was Jose Cuervo. So those are the 3 we're going to be doing blind taste tests, see what we choose as our favorite, not knowing which is which. So I'm really excited about that. And then even better, I'm going to make guacamole, because like you need to have some yums to have with these.
So are we going to we're going to shoot it? We're going to sip it?
I feel like we should sip it because I feel like we want to take, like, I feel like we want to, especially when you're talking about good tequila, I feel like you want to taste it. I mean, even though I'm not a sipper, the only thing I think I enjoy sipping shot-wise is limoncello. Oh my God, I love limoncello.
Which is basically
that makes
sugar.
me so happy just thinking of it.
Basically lemon and sugar.
Oh, but in like a really high alcohol,
Yeah,
like it's,
yeah.
I don't know if it's grain alcohol or whatever they use, like it is pretty, but I love limoncello. So limoncello, oh yeah. So I'm going to do one more, and then let me just taste it again. And it's just going to be you and I, so I'm going to just put this in.
You double dipping?
I am. It's getting close, but not yet.
So you put one more in, and
then we'll see. And you guys can see that, you know, I had 5 cups of liquid, and I'm down to almost no more liquid left. It's just amazing to me how it all works, actually, to be honest. So yeah, so Tuesday, do not miss Tuesday. Tuesday will be so fun. And plus we'd love to know the kind of tequila that you like drinking. I have a special not secret, but a special ingredient I put in my guacamole, so I'll be sharing that, but I'd love to know what special ingredients you put. So it'll be fun. I'm really excited.
pretty much by the end of the stream, we really won't know what's going on.
I'm excited. I'm actually, even though, like I said, I'm not one that likes to sip liquor because amaretto I would sip. That's another one I would sip, but that's sweet. I'm actually excited to just see if I can discern which one is the better. I mean, in my opinion, what I think is the better tequila.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's going to be really interesting. And plus, it'll be fun because Matt will be doing it with us, and he's always fun. Everyone always likes him on the stream.
Do they?
Yeah, they like the young ones.
Why?
Oh, you think he's young, and he kind of, you know.
He's obnoxious.
Oh, he's not. He's not. So, and then next weekend, for Mother's Day, I'm going to be on Saturday. So, kind of what I'm thinking from the streams, from now on with the streams, is when I'm cooking more of a meal. Oh, honey, will you get the plug is on the left.
Is that for?
Really quickly.
I know,
for the laptop. So apparently I forgot to plug in the laptop. So that's a problem. And my thing is saying low. So we need to quickly get this plugged in before it shuts down the whole thing. So if you hand me this, you plug it in, I'll get this in.
Where am I going to put it?
I will be one of those we don't need. Don't unplug things yet. Let me just get this in first. You get it?
You good?
Yeah, we are good. Oh my goodness gracious. That was funny. Wow. So we almost, we'll tell Matt that story. He'll enjoy that. All right. So I'm hoping, I think it's ready. I think by looks, in fact, let me just do one more taste. We turn this down because it's really hot. Yep. I think it's ready. So let me show you what this looks like. Me first. Okay. So it has like doubled in size. You can see that the liquid is almost all absorbed, which actually I'm going to add a tiny bit of liquid, not because I need to make it, you know, cook more, but because I actually don't want it to be too thick. So I'm just adding a touch because risotto, I think you want it to be moving, and rice seizes up. In fact, and we're going to add cheese, so I'm going to add a tad more liquid. And then this is where the fun part is. So before I add the cheese, I want to add some butter because we want to add some richness. Because really, I mean, we've had some.
So how much butter? Can't see.
I know. I think I'm putting 2 tablespoons of butter. 2 tablespoons. And so I'm just letting that melt in. Don't worry about that. That's okay. It's just a error message for there. So I'm putting this in. I took it off. I turned off the heat because it's very warm. Risotto is like potatoes. It holds its heat. In fact, if you ever get served risotto at a restaurant, do not dig in the middle or you are going to burn yourself. So what's nice about adding the butter is the butter is just slowly melting into the rice, which is making it super creamy. And then I'm going to...
So this is going to be really good for us, isn't it?
Well, sweetie, that's why we don't have this all the time, right? Life is about balance. It's about enjoying. But if we had risotto all the time, we'd be double our size. So we don't have it all the time. We just have it sometimes. Okay, so now I'm going to take another taste test. Oh, I think you're gonna want more salt. So I'm gonna put more salt in. The cheese and the butter. It's amazing the flavor that just adding those 2 things, I shouldn't say just add, of course, it's cheese and butter. But oh my goodness, so delicious. And it's so creamy right now. All right, so the next thing I wanna do is I'm first gonna actually add my lemon zest because I don't want my asparagus to break off. So I'm just gonna dump that in, stir that in. Will you do me a favor and take those seeds out so we don't end with a seed in our risotto? I'm going to get these in. I'm not gonna put these big thick ones in, I think. I'm gonna keep some of these really thick ones out and I can put them in a salad this week.
Let me take the seeds out in both of these? Both of these wedges?
I think just one's gonna be fine, to be honest. Oh, and I forgot to leave one out, shoot. Here we go. I'm just gonna leave one out, a couple out for prettiness. There we go, I saved them. I saved them. So then I'm just folding in, I'll bring this over. I'm just folding in the asparagus. Let me show you what this is looking like. It is looking, whoops, looking phenomenal. So I'm just folding in the asparagus. And that the risotto will help warm them up. If I'm being honest, I probably should have added them a little bit sooner, but you know, when you're cooking in front of people. Now, this again is a lot of asparagus. This is how we like it. If you don't like that much veg, don't put as much in. But you can see with that liquid we added, see how it's almost already seizing up. So I probably would have made it a little bit more juicy just so it could move more. And I'm going to add just one of these, and I think that'll be it. I think then we'll be in business, and we'll put some fresh grated. Leave this here. Can you move that off? We'll put some fresh grated Parmesan on top because, you know. All right, so let me get this in here.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Let me go back over here.
Let's see.
She's plating the risotto.
Yes, I'm plating risotto. Sorry, I know I'm off camera.
And you know that it's done because Shelby's
ready to get a bite.
Our dog is right there.
Yeah.
Waiting. Right behind you, Amy, by the way.
Okay.
So don't step on her.
Oh, and you know what you can do? Oh, I just gave her a little more. So if
What's
you
that?
want to pour the wine,
Okay.
you could do that. That'd be awesome. Okay. Leave it there. This here, I'll make sure I have plenty. Okay. Oh, I'm going to rinse my hands.
Chubby, you can go now. Come on.
And I'm going to put a nice, we really don't need the garnish because it already looks very much like asparagus risotto. Let me bring it here so you because it is. I know, it's funny how that is.
Big things of asparagus.
It is funny how that is. And then we're going to add some grated Parmesan on. Let it rain, as they like to say on the kitchen. Oh, yum. This looks so good. And if you wanted to, you could drizzle it with a little olive oil if you so thought. For me, I feel like we're already indulging a lot, so I'm going to refrain. Thank you. Let me just do a little webcam. So this one actually looks even a little prettier. You can see it looks lovely. And I'll go over here. Oh, let me first turn this off so that the nicer camera can see. So there we go. All right, shall we taste it?
We shall.
I have the forks right here. I'm excited. I'm actually quite hungry, and I'm giving you the bigger one. There you go. There you go.
Do that.
So first of all, wait, cheers.
Oh, cheers.
And this is an Italian wine called Suave or something. Cheers, sweetie.
Rico?
Mm-hmm.
Let me get that, did you? Rico Suave.
I know. I ignored it. Oh, that's good, though. I think this is going to be one of the reasons I picked that wine to open yesterday, because I knew I wanted to use it for the risotto, and I think it was going to be delicious for the risotto. So let's see how it goes. Let me get a little asparagus.
Oh, man.
Let's see.
It's really good.
You probably want more salt. You sure? Okay.
No.
Oh, it's really good. Very good. And I love, well, we like our vegetables to not be mushy, so it has a little crunch still to the asparagus, which is nice. Excellent. And the wine pairs beautifully with it, you know?
Too cheap napkins.
So I will tell you, try a risotto. You can actually, and there's no shame in it, just make a Parmesan risotto. I mean, you could just make a cheese risotto.
Yeah.
That's probably what Matt would do. He would just make a cheese risotto. If you want to add protein, you could put grilled chicken on this. I think grilled shrimp would be really great with it. But it really, as you can see, it's not so much a matter of having to babysit it as just stir it occasionally until you see the lane that opens up, and then add more liquid. And you add it until when you taste it, it has like a good texture. You want it to have a good texture. So cheers. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. We do cooking streams every weekend usually, except for the past 2 weekends, if I'm away. But
partying in Florida.
Yes, and then we do cocktail streams on Tuesday nights, and any schedule changes or additions are on Twitter. So you can follow me on Twitter, which is Philly Live. And see you Tuesday. Do not miss Tuesday. Tuesday will be amazing. And I'll see you next weekend for Mother's Day scones. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. I hope you all are eating something yummy. So until we eat again, I will see you later.